Welcome to our first Telegraph Book Club event, and I'm here with Sarah, Duchess of York.
Hello.
I'm Celia Walden, and I had the pleasure of interviewing the Duchess last month, wasn't it?
It was indeed, yeah.
Prior to the publication of her new book, A Most Intriguing Lady, which I've got here in hardback, and it's out tomorrow.
And you did a very, very, very good job as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
You were a bit tricksy at times, but
very tricksy. I was, ready,
yes,
just
I
in
know.
case.
But we got there in the end, didn't we? I think.
Well, it was quite funny, wasn't it? Because you said, "If only I'd met you 20 years ago."
Yes.
When I put my foot in everything.
I know you're very cautious these days.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I wouldn't say cautious actually, diplomatic. Perhaps. But anyway, the Duchess needs no introduction, but I'll give her one anyway. She's a charity founder and a philanthropist working with Ukrainian refugees for her charity Sarah's Trust. She's a royal trailblazer who was the first to adopt that take me as I am mindset, and you've never deviated from that since, I don't think.
Nice. I'll have that.
She has made her own rules all the way, and she's also the woman who that the late Queen has entrusted her 2 corgis to, which is a pretty big honour, isn't it?
It is, except when they run off and I think they're never coming back, or they go into trees, or they go and do something. They're national treasures.
Yes, I know. You've got it's even worse than for most people, isn't it?
Yeah, and
10
now I have
times.
to, make sure they're okay.
Yes.
They have. I sort of see that they have a great. The markings look like they have bridles on.
Oh right.
So I think that at night they go out into the fields and people ride them, like fairies and
That's
leprechauns.
a lovely. They probably do.
Yeah.
And elves.
Yeah.
I should also say that the Duchess is a prolific writer, a Sunday Times bestseller and a New York Times bestseller. A Most Intriguing Lady is your second romantic fiction novel, isn't it? But astonishingly, your 82nd book, which is...
You've been briefed well.
Well,
I'm
I've
impressed.
interviewed you before. And, you've written autobiographies, you've written children's books, you've sort of almost dipped into every genre. Budgie the Little Helicopter was turned into a TV series. And I know you've got some news about your books, which I'll let you tell everyone later on. But right now, you're a Mills and Boon romantic fiction writer, which is an extraordinary achievement. And this book, A Most Intriguing Lady, has sort of takes a slight turn into sleuthing, doesn't it? It's got that we've got this wonderful heroine who is, as well as having a romantic intrigue, she seems to have become a slight Miss Marple figure. And I wondered whether this was a sort of, that when we chatted earlier, you'd said that perhaps you might be even sort of flirting with a crime fiction genre, or will you keep it, do you think, to romantic for the moment?
I think that it's going to definitely go into the crime and romantic crime together. Yes, of course. And it's going to be that wonderful moment when he rescues, or she rescues him, or he rescues her. You know, that wonderful, it's delicious in fairy tales when sweeps in on the white horse and whisks her off.
Yes.
Or Richard Gere when he went into the factory and picked up Deborah Winger, Officer and the Gentleman. We're going to have a lot more of that.
Did he? See, now I'm thinking of Pretty Woman.
Yeah.
Is that? Did he put, and the fire escape.
There you have it.
Yeah.
And the music.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
Romances, and you like Hallmark films as well, don't you?
I'm going to act in a Hallmark film.
Are you?
Yes, I am. And what's going to happen is that I'm coming from the city, okay?
Yes.
And my car's going to go off the road in the snow and into the ditch. And then the plumber in the plaid, in the tartan shirt is going to come and rescue me.
I see.
Yeah. And pick me up and take me home.
This is definitely Hallmark and not some other channel.
No, it could be Hallmark. Although if any A&E are watching...
It's only because of the plumber I'm thinking...
But it's okay, because I'm quite happy to just do cameo roles. I want to be an actress, I think. That's
I think you'd be a great actress.
Thank you.
And look, you've reinvented yourself. You know, at 63, you have just managed to sort of smash records on both sides of the pond with these books. And so if you can do that, then I'm sure, you know...
Well, I think it's really exciting to start a new career at 63.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really fun, and it's just really appeals to me that Mills and Boon, okay, 100 years ago, I heard today that there was no paper in the time of World War One and World War Two. Winston Churchill in World War Two, he said, no one's allowed paper. We've got to save the paper. We've got to save this, save that, close all the factories and everything else, except for Mills and Boon. They must continue to print on the paper for women to escape.
Oh,
don't you love it?
I do.
So I think today, I've watched something else out today, Celia, since I last saw you.
Yes.
Okay. I have not escaped out into books. I have escaped inside of me.
Into your own.
Yes.
It's wonderful.
Yes, do you know that feeling?
I 100% know
that's
that feeling.
why. Payday in all your books.
I remember writing sex scenes during lockdown and thinking everyone else is really, I'm having a better time than anyone.
Well, that's why in this book, My Most Intriguing Lady, of course, we've launched into, we're not quite 50 Shades of Grey yet. But
No.
we're beginning to go into lingerie.
Yeah, ooh. I see. Yes.
One day, can I interview you so I can say beautiful things about you?
I'd love that.
Good.
Yes,
thank you very much.
anytime
should we tell the Telegraph?
I think we should.
Okay.
Yes.
Lucky they're here.
We're skipping about a bit, but I was going to ask you actually why, because there was I remember when I was younger and I used to go to jumble sales and buy Mills and Boon for whatever it was, 10p, and then hide with my best friend until we could find the naughty bits.
Oh, yes.
And
I've done that.
Well, I've recently or
no, funny enough, not recently.
No,
a long time ago.
But this one there's no. I was expecting a little more. You've kept quite what's the word?
A respectable lid on it.
Yes.
Well, wait till book 3.
Oh.
Yes, we're on our way.
Okay.
I actually was very impressed when you interviewed me before. You said that I didn't get kissing till page 175. You counted the pages.
Well, you have to do your research.
But the next one is going to, yes, we're upping the ante a bit. But I've just got to build confidence.
Yes.
I'm still a rookie.
Well, you say that, but you've got, of course, a co-writer who you call her, you had a wonderful
collaborator.
Yes, a collaborator.
And the very fierce, wonderful Scottish. My Scottish Marguerite Kay.
Yes. Tell me about Marguerite and what your process is with both of you when we
collaborate.
Yes.
Well, when I got to Mills and Boon and told Mills and Boon that I really needed to write a historical novel.
Yes.
I wasn't polite. I just said I have to do this. It's in that when in your head you have an idea.
Yes.
And so very kindly they were listening to me. Which was amazing. I brought in 12 examples of what I could do on boards, all beautifully done. You know? And then the lovely Lisa said, I said, I don't know what to do. So I'm putting my hand out saying, I don't know what to do. Could you teach me? And they introduced me to Marguerite Kay. And then I had to persuade Marguerite. She's written 59 books. The last thing she needed was me. And she's very strong. She's a tiny, wee, lovely, strong Scottish lass. And so she doesn't hold. She was a lawyer. She doesn't hold any punches, I tell you.
So you were perfect.
Match. We were. Well, to begin with, I was very. Would you mind awfully if you could possibly, please? I was so British and very sort of terrified of myself, really. And by the end of it, she said, "Will you just get to the point? Will you just? You can't offend me."
Yes.
I said it again today. She's very strong.
Yeah. So
really
she and when you
great collaborating.
She's a great collaborator.
So what she does is, just for anyone, you actually write it out. I didn't finish off what I was saying.
Yes.
What she does is she's very brilliant at wordsmith. She's a great wordsmith. So I go off at imagination and emotion and all the tangent, and she can put what I say into 3 lines. It's really clever.
Oh, that's
that's really an art.
Does she tape your conversations, or how does it work?
No,
you write long emails to each other,
and we sit for hours and we talk on the telephone with large pots of coffee.
Oh.
But the thing is one thing which is really beautiful, is that she really loves the pace. I go at very strong, fast pace.
Yes.
And she doesn't say no. She goes, interesting. Let's look at it shall we look at it that way?
Yes.
And so I'm learning as I go. And when we started this book, A Most Intriguing Lady, I said, no, you have to understand, Marguerite, Lady Mary is tightrope walking from Drumlanrig Tower to the other tower to go and find who did the crime.
Yes.
No, she is, in 1870. And she went, are you sure she's going to be tightrope walking? And I went, no, she really is. And then we went in deeply into research, into history, to find if circuses did exist at that time. So they did, and she is.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So yes, because it's very, very well researched, as well as being very pacey, and you don't really know where you're going to go next. But it's incredibly, all the detail about the clothing and the etiquette is fascinating.
That was, you're talking in particular, I think, at Oliver Cromwell's headless body.
Headless corpse.
At Newburgh Priory.
Yeah.
Yes, I was absolutely adamant that the table had to be set exactly in the way, with the fruit plates and the little bowl and the finger bowl, and of course Marguerite said, well, I never knew any of that, and then the next visit she went to Clifton or somewhere, and she went, oh, thank goodness you told me, because I now understood that wasn't for washing the grapes, it was for washing your hands.
Well, so I wondered how much of your royal experience has been helpful when you're writing, because I suppose with period books a lot of it must be sort of similar, and it probably hasn't changed much since, the way the knives and forks are, or the
not at all, especially Victoria.
Right.
Queen Victoria, and when the Queen was alive, even with the Queen Victoria had very small hands, and the Queen, past Queen, had very small hands, and Queen Elizabeth, and so when you sat down for dinner, the knives and forks were quite little.
Oh.
And it's rather sweet. And
I'm picturing a doll's house with really tiny.
Well, they were quite small.
Oh.
And anyway, so I, of course, when I got married in 1986, I really wrote 2 history books about etiquette and Queen Victoria and Albert. And so that's why I really would be so ignorant if I hadn't studied history, amateur sleuth, then to really know what I was doing.
Yes. And it must be one of those things that the more you sort of a black hole of it, the more you get into it, the more there is to find out.
Lethal.
That
because you just want to, I'm fascinated. There's a beautiful big portrait of Queen Mary, and she has a huge pearl choker here.
Yeah.
And she never took it off because she has a scar here. And I want to know now why she has a scar.
Yeah.
And then if you look behind, there's a secret white panel door.
Gosh.
Oh, yeah. And I want to know what goes on behind. Anyway, so many things.
Lady Mary Montague Douglas Scott, your heroine, is, and I know everyone is always fond of sort of drawing parallels between authors and their heroines, and there are not always many, but I think in this case, the only thing I would say, having met you, is that Lady Mary's she's a keen observer, isn't she? She sort of seems to, you get the feeling that she's much more intelligent than the people around her, and she's taking it all in. And I wondered whether but she's also got a keen sense of justice. I would say, when she sees an injustice, however small, she feels it should be righted. Did any of this, what in her do you think is you, if anything?
The only difference between me and Lady Mary is I'm not a wallflower.
You're not.
In case you hadn't noticed, just saying. And nor am I a little church mouse.
No.
Nor would I wear brown all day.
No.
But that's the only difference.
Right.
Because the rest of it is really me, yeah. I mean, I really believe strongly that if people have been good to you, you must fight for them.
Yes.
And my team are amazing to me.
Yes.
And I will go to the end of the world for them because they have shown up for me. You don't touch my team.
Yeah.
So Lady Mary would, of course she'd fight for her friend who taught her to tightrope walk. Of course.
Yes.
And curiosity of life is Lady Mary. My father brought me up to say the kitchen's more important than the dining room table, and I really believe that. Lady Mary is that's why she's so good at her disguise. When Lewis helps her with her disguise, got to read the book, people. When she goes into the East End of London and joins the Peaky Blinders, it's very Pride and Prejudice meets Peaky Blinders meets.
Oh gosh, they should put that on the front of the book.
I know, don't you think? Well, anyway, when she does that, you know, she knows how to play the part. I mean, she goes right into the part.
Yes.
Because she studied the part. I mean, she's sat there for doing her needlepoint thinking,
yeah.
And she's a mimic. Well, I'm a mimic. She's a mimic.
I was going to say there's quite a sort of feminist bent to her because she's quite powerful, even if she is not made to feel that necessarily.
Yes. Well, I think she's very curious. She's very curious with life.
Yes, yeah.
She has enormous sense of humour, and she knows what she wants. And the feminist angle is when Tree, you know, she's not going to put up with him being a victim. She's not a victim. No victim behaviour. No. Out you go. But then, of course, I did when I am taking you back now to Yorkshire, back to the moors and the wind and Heathcliff. Of course I am.
Yeah.
but it's that moment when she walks out in the snow and the rain in the garden. That's good. Oh, good. And here's that gossiping.
An inveterate romantic, aren't you?
Yes, completely. Completely. I think I'm really rather like you in lockdown. I love the idea of diving into storytelling.
Yes.
Which is so beautifully romantic.
Yes.
And then longing to realise it could happen, and then opening the door and realising, Actually, no. In real life, you're out of the book again. Yeah. I want to go back in the book.
Yeah.
So much more fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My husband always says when I wake up, because I put the light on and I pick up a book, he says, how can you do that the second you've woken up? But I think because I would just much rather be in there. I mean, no offence to you.
I hope he's not watching. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Okay. What are the most romantic books you've ever read yourself, do you think, over the years?
Well, I think Daniel Steele has to be, isn't it, don't you think?
Yeah.
Linda Howard, did you ever read those?
I haven't, no.
No, but Daniel Steele, definitely. Jilly Cooper, or wasn't she? I mean, she does, still now.
Yeah, she's amazing.
I am that sort of person.
Yeah.
I am, I like it.
Well, because also she's got it's humorous, isn't it? It's kind of got that, kind of nudge.
Completely. And then the other day the girls were saying, Mummy, you were so funny when we were growing up. They were teenagers or something. And you'd be reading the book by the pool on holiday or something, and you'd read out loud and skip over the saucy bits. And you don't think we didn't go back through the book to find them.
Exactly. Right, and there's been quite a few. We have a lot of questions from subscribers. So what I might do is start dropping a few in, and then at the end have any ones that we haven't really covered.
Do you have a radio show?
I don't know.
Shall we do one together?
I think so. Yeah. What would we call it?
I think you definitely should have your own radio show. You've got a very good radio voice.
Oh, do you think so?
Yeah, very calm.
Well, thank you.
I know.
But what would we call it, though?
Let's come back to that.
We'll come back to that. Now, in terms of, as a writer myself, I know that I like to have a huge amount of props around me. So I have toothpicks, I've got chewing gum, I have huge amounts of coffee, obviously. Do you have any sort of weird superstitions about where you write or what you like to drink while you write or all that sort of thing? All the paraphernalia that goes with writing?
That's very interesting, because Jeffrey Archer said he has to take himself to Spain and go and sit for 6 weeks and no one's allowed near him.
Well, I mean, that we would all love that to be the case.
Yes,
obviously.
And he sits there and then he looks out at the ocean and writes.
See, I've tried that and I was told I wasn't allowed. So.
Someone told you no? Hello, please.
I'm not sure women are allowed to do that, but...
Okay. Well, the thing is that because I live with this imagination,
yes, I'm
writing all the time. You remember Roald Dahl? He wrote down snozcumbers and things in a book, and I know that that's what I do. I write notes everywhere, and then I remember it, and then go, and then I and then I ring up Marguerite and go, okay, this is what's going to happen. and you can hear shh.
Yes.
You know, but I do.
And in the middle of the night, sometimes do you get that thing?
And voice notes.
Yes.
And then you play them back, and you realise you sound completely asleep.
And it wasn't a great idea
no,
anyway.
It's useless.
But
but it's also I don't have any paraphernalia, but I do write in fountain pen.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
Oh, so you write longhand? You don't?
I do.
Wow.
Oh yes, I love writing longhand.
It's like Jackie
Letter.
Collins used to write.
Did she?
Yeah, she used to write. I think she used to write longhand.
How nice.
Yeah, and have someone transcribe it.
Oh, well, but there's a new transcribe AI thing.
But I don't know if I trust those things.
No. Anyway, but I decided that, of course, that I would travel to Italy.
Yes.
I would go to where Hemingway wrote all his finest novels.
Perfect.
And I would ask them to make a fountain pen for me. And I did. It's called Monte Grappa.
Really?
Yeah. So cool.
What does it look like?
Oh my gosh, you'll love it. It's really heavy, fat and heavy.
Oh.
And the nib is long. And when you're writing, it writes for you.
Oh, wow.
I call her La Plume.
Really?
She's called La Plume, the pen.
The pen.
Because she's not a quill, I mean, obviously.
No.
But she's close.
Yeah.
And she sometimes doesn't want to play.
No.
And she gets stroppy, tricky. I can't find her. So there, do you think that's eccentric enough?
That is eccentric enough.
But if you go online, they're only £2,000 each.
Wow. But they, I do think writers are very superstitious people.
Yeah.
You know, so no, I can't write if there's this or.
But mine's definitely fountain pen.
Yes.
It has to be a proper fountain pen.
Yes.
With ink.
And the grand tradition of Mills and Boon, in terms of that, I remember once that there was in fact there was a course that you could do. I don't know if it's still possible, where you could learn to be a Mills and Boon writer, and various writers had tried to do it and just found that it was incredibly hard.
Do you know? I asked Becky, one of my my boss today.
Yes.
I said, if someone really did want to.
Yes,
they can. There is a period of time where they can put in for...
Is there?
Yeah, and send in their books.
How fascinating.
Nodding, yes.
Well, there you go. No, because I think...
but I love that, because I did ask that question, because my friend Laura, who I've not met yet,
yes.
but I will meet in Edinburgh, and she was meant to come, we were meant to have tea last year, but I was fascinated that if she really thought she could write a book, would Mills and Boon publish her? And of course, Emma Denny is one of those writers,
right?
Who wrote what's it called? Hurtwood. Walk in. That's
weird. That one.
One Night in Heartwood.
Oh right, okay.
Yes, that's right. Emma Denny. Yeah.
Well, so it is possible for any subscribers at home who want to go off and suddenly write some steamy fiction, or it doesn't even have to be that steamy. But
and they must, any subscriber. I'm sorry, I keep looking at Celia, but hello subscribers. but also, I think the most important thing is to ask for help.
Yes.
Is to say, I don't know what to do. How can I do that? And you could. That's why the book club is such a great thing that the Telegraph Book Club are doing tonight. And now building, is because this is a place where you can say, oh, I really love to write about.
Yes.
Whatever. And I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And this could help.
And get proper advice. Exactly.
Maybe we could do that.
That would be good.
Wouldn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
A Most Intriguing Lady is going to be made into a TV series, isn't it? As well as Her Heart for a Compass, which was your first bestseller on both sides of the ocean. Yeah. And I wondered, with The Most Intriguing Lady, we've got these two main characters, very strong and very filmic, Lady Mary and, of course, Trey, who is very dashing. And who would you have, ideally, in a fantasy world, who would play them?
Okay. So I would think Rupert Friend would be very high up for me to play Trey. I think he's fabulous. Is
he old enough?
I think he's too old, probably.
Is he?
I don't know.
He got older.
He got older, you see.
People do that.
Sadly. Well, if we could just...
Yes.
But it is that sort.
Okay.
Jess Buckley, I'm I have a thing about Jess Buckley.
Yeah.
I love Jess Buckley.
She's amazing.
She's just amazing.
Yes.
And I'm putting it out there. I need Jess Buckley for my TV series.
Well, if you're watching.
Yes, Jess Buckley. But also I think that the tree person has to be tall.
Yes.
I'm not going to...
Sorry, you pronounce it tree. I said tray.
No, well, it could be tray or tree.
Tray or tree.
It's Treefusus.
Treefusus,
yes.
But
she calls him Tree.
Okay.
Because it's funny.
Yes.
Like a tree. Because he's so tall. So we've got to find somebody tall.
Yeah.
Like...
They all tend to be quite short actors.
Well, Benedict Cumberbatch.
He's tall.
He's tall, isn't he?
I find all the actors I meet are tiny.
Do you know, you're right, Tom Holland, is he...
Tom Holland wouldn't be, not for this role.
Okay, but I really am looking forward to the casting.
Yes.
And sort of like going through the yeah.
Are you?
I think really that I should tell Diana Gabaldon that Jamie Fraser is now mine.
Maybe. Why not?
See?
Yes.
Maybe.
So you're
Poor Claire.
I mean,
will be so upset.
Yeah, I know, but she'll get over it, won't she? Without giving anything away, what would you like the readers to take away, do you think, from the story? Do you have an underlying message in A Most Intriguing Lady?
I have an underlying message in every single book that I write, and it is about my own rule book of integrity of what's good.
Yes.
And what's kind and honour and the altitude of forgiveness. Mm-hmm. And it can be so disarming. And I think there's too much judgment and too much malice. And I think, okay, so if you were writing about bunnies for 3-year-olds, I would teach resilience.
Yes.
And that's what I'm doing is at the moment. So like Budgie Helicopter, as you mentioned it, he always succeeds.
Yes.
Although everyone thinks he can't. And he's always wrong, and he's always getting it wrong, but in the end he comes good. Yeah. And I think that don't judge Lady Mary just because she's sitting in the corner of a room. It's very similar to me, Celia. Luckily you know me, but not many people know me because they haven't asked. I'm not going to tell unless you ask me.
Yes.
So how are you in Africa in all your schools? I would be fascinated that someone had bothered to know I have schools in Africa. Yeah. So therefore, I find that very interesting. I sit back and I watch and I wait and see how long, or if anyone's going to ask me one question.
Yes.
And
it's actually about you.
Yes.
Yes.
But no guaranteed. Almost 99-100% people will not ask me one thing because they presume to know me.
Yes, well, I think that is what happens after, people have spent so many years reading, reading about you, and they think they know you. And as we were saying just before, since our interview was published, and the amount of people who've come up to me and said, she's exactly what I thought that she would be, which I actually thought was great. And the thing that kept coming back and back, and is, again, very similar to Lady Mary's, is that she's so resilient, they said about you. Yeah. And yesterday another lady said to me, she's a real trooper, isn't she? Which I always like. I think being called a trooper is great.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
It means that no matter what, you're going to show up.
Yeah, yeah.
No matter even... I remember when someone knocked at the door and said, and this is not... Sorry for anyone watching, but it's... your mum's just died in a car crash. And I remember saying... Oh, right, okay, right, well, I've got to get on now. I've got a full day ahead. And you can't let people down. Because you couldn't. You had to go on. The show has to go on.
And do you think that's helpful?
I think it's very difficult.
Yes.
But actually sometimes you pull in that level of strength.
Yeah.
However, when you get too far into pulling that level of strength in, then I think there's a problem.
Yes.
And I think that now at 63, showing myself makes me even more approachable.
Yes, so do I. Yes, yes.
It's fascinating.
It's funny that when you're younger, you hold yourself in a lot more, and then when you get older, you think it's okay to show vulnerability.
Exactly. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it is.
And also you held it. I've noticed if it would be immediately I'd eat or and then you put on the battle shield.
Yes, because that's meant to be what it is, isn't it?
So that's when you asked me about the messaging, what would people take away from my books? It is the authenticity of truth.
Yes.
It's take altitude. And I know your husband and I often talk about it, is really, honestly, at the end of the day, just get on.
Yes.
And it's fine.
Yeah.
And forgiveness is one thing, and harmony, and just, come on, it makes life so much better.
Yeah, it does. It
does, doesn't it?
Which book do you find recommending to people over and over again? Is there one book that you always say, oh my God, have you read this?
A Heart for Compass, and Budgie.
I was waiting
Payday.
for that.
You were waiting for that,
Yeah,
right? I actually don't do that. Isn't that quite interesting?
Yeah, because you strike me as someone who's you obviously read a lot.
I do read a lot, but I never do.
Oh.
I suppose one of the books, I'm all about things like Shawshank Redemption, the film, but also the book is very good.
Yes.
And then there's Against All Odds, Laura Hillenbrand,
yes.
I'm Unbroken.
Yes, yeah.
A lot of those sort of things, you
Yeah.
know. And I love Laura's work.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal.
Well, there's always someone rising up in that,
Yes.
isn't there, which I love.
Yes, I think that's the one. I'm one of those people. And I do read a lot of poetry, though.
Yes.
I find it sometimes, you know, it's quick and you can get a real sense of something and then move on. Like Emily Dickinson's Hope or Maya Angelou's Still I Rise. Come on.
Better than therapy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I've done so much therapy, so I know. But for me, today, it's been a busy day. And then I went, well, great, I'm not in a wheelchair, I'm not blind, I'm really strong, and I want to be out there, and I want to fight for people that are silent whispers.
Yes.
So get a grip.
Yeah, and also you're enjoying this amazing kind of burst of this new career in your 60s, and I think a lot of people at home might be asking, how do I do that then? Did you decide, right, I'm just gonna go ahead and do this, or did you just to be able? Did you find that you have more energy in this decade of your life at all, like in terms of what you actually want to go after?
I feel that I have so much energy. It's terrifying.
You do strike me as someone very energetic.
I really do. Oh my gosh! And then I am really excited by a sense. This is not the Duchess talking. This is not the royal family. This is not this. This is Sarah talking to you. It is huge that I've done this.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary. So in my life, to have written 2 historical novels with Marguerite Kay is for me. My children are really proud.
Yeah.
And I am.
Good.
And there's more to come.
Yes.
And so yes, that is very invigorating to my heart. So now if I walk into a room, I don't sort of walk in like Lady Mary. I walk in.
I can't imagine you ever walking in like Lady Mary.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. It sounded good for me.
Do you know if the Queen had ever read any of your books?
Well, I know that she was more of a mother to me than my own mother. And I know that she was very, very pleased that I was doing what I was doing.
Yes.
And of course she remembers Mills and Boon.
Yes, I bet.
And I love that she was so supportive.
Yes.
And she was, well, I mean, how can you possibly, people have waited all their life to meet her.
Yeah.
And I popped down and walked the dogs with her.
Amazing.
And talk about extraordinary things.
Yes.
And speak about things which you don't have to, I'd have to pinch myself. I still was correct though, you never go in jeans, and
yes.
You still upheld the respect for and in awe of an iconic legend.
Yes.
But so although you were walking the dogs, you still managed you must always be correct.
Yes.
And I love that sense of standards.
Yeah.
Even now. And,
well, I know you told me off for the way I was sitting.
Yeah, sorry.
Apparently, I should be. There's the royal way of doing it is like this, but this was before you were even.
But I said, yeah, exactly. My mum taught me.
Your mother taught you, yes.
And then Mum, when she said, when she was, it makes you sit up, don't it?
Oh yes, yeah.
And when Mum used to say, don't curtsy near furniture because you'll then topple over.
Oh,
as your foot goes back,
That's a very good piece of
or
advice.
near the corgis.
Yes,
because then they yelp.
Yeah,
and then everyone's more worried about the corgis yelping than you. Yeah. But so yes, I want everyone to come away from this book that we have done enormous research.
Yeah.
Into everything from the napkin to
it shows.
Yes.
Yes. And going back to the Queen, did you ever discuss books with her? Do you know what kind of books she was? She
loved her books.
Yeah.
She loved her books. And one of the things was every time you went to stay there, she'd always put books in the room, knowing that you would love those books.
Yes.
And so I would probably got Agatha Christie and
Enid Blyton she really liked, didn't
yes.
she? Was it Enid Blyton that I was reading the other day? There was a mention. I think it was.
Well, I think it's she would know that I would be fascinated in that sort of genre,
yes.
and therefore put them in the room, which is so kind. But I do know that. But she was so well read that she could jump from book to book.
Yes, yes. And do you think of it reading about there's all these things in the news recently with Roald Dahl and Enid Blyton and now Agatha Christie with them changing? How do you feel about that? Do you think that things do need to be updated a little bit, or?
I think that modern language of living changes and
yes.
we evolve. We evolve with life.
Yes.
And everyone can say, "Oh, it's ridiculous, and you shouldn't do that." Well, I think you should want to learn what the future is about. What are young people talking about?
Yes.
And don't be arrogant and ignorant to not listen to what people are saying.
Yeah.
And therefore, yes, I think it's very important to evolve with the language of living. And I really think that's great.
Yes.
And that's why I'm a great LGBTQ plus supporter.
Yeah.
Is that it's important, to
include
my pronouns are she, but I want to learn more about how to speak.
Yes.
Sorry, I hit my mic.
No, and I think we have certainly come a long way.
We have.
If you think even in 10 years ago.
Exactly. And I think that if they want to change my language in 10 years,
yes.
I'm very happy with that.
Are you? That's
yes.
interesting.
Yeah. I don't have an ego on that.
No.
I love that. I just want to get the tail out.
What do you have an ego on then?
Whether I look fat in this dress.
I think that's every woman should be able to have that prerogative. Now, I think what we're going to do is go to some questions because we've got so many wonderful questions and I want to be able to get through as many as I can. So, here we go. If I can find them here.
You're doing very well.
Thank you, so are you.
Oh, I love it. I'm loving it.
So yes, here we've got one from Michael. The women in your novels are very strong and empowered. You've been on a journey throughout your life, but have always appeared powerful and strong. From where do you get your strength?
Nice, Michael. We love Michael.
I know.
Hi, Michael. I get my strength from seeing people less fortunate than myself. Like I said just a minute ago, my grandmother said, when you feel bad about yourself, give to others. Mm. So I took myself to Poland, and I'm so lucky. And so it shakes me into understanding that you are so lucky and you are on the public stage, and therefore you can do something about it.
Yes.
And so don't be complacent with life. Don't be complacent with nature. Don't be complacent with helping other people. Just do it.
Yes.
And I really believe that. So that is my harmony place.
Yeah.
So Michael, you got it in one. The reason why I get on is because I tell myself to stop wallowing in self-pity.
Right.
And being a victim. Come on.
Yeah.
Get on. Go and do something and make a child smile.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then suddenly you'll feel better.
Well, in fact, recently there was a piece of scientific research showing that altruism actually actually stops you from getting all sorts of degenerative brain diseases later on in life, and it was extraordinary. So it really is good for us.
It's fact. And Donna Young, who's a great scientist I work with on bringing kindness measurement into schools, into primary education, because I work with Montessori, and I feel really strongly that it's an endorphin.
Yes.
You're right.
Yeah.
I've read that too.
Yes. What do you do first thing in the morning? This is Matt. Do you have a morning routine? What's the process behind writing? We've talked a bit about the process behind writing and completing a book, but it's true that mornings are usually a sort of golden hour for writers. I mean, you get the odd writer who writes very, very late at night, but do you find that you need to snatch that moment in the morning when you're fresh and you've got your imagination is sort of all going strong?
I snatch moments, a lot of moments, but in the morning, I have a thing about birds.
Do you?
Yeah. At night, I hear the wood pigeon, right, and that's my sign. It's like the wood pigeon is saying, "Go write."
Really? Oh, so you're a night writer?
Yeah, I am. Between 6 and 9 is my time. I love to write.
Yeah.
And then in the morning, I can just hear it, and it's that dewy moment.
Yes.
I find it so fascinating because that's exactly when I've got the baddie with the footprints across the dew, or the frosty footprint.
Yes.
Crunching.
There's a very nice one here from Fiona, who says, your daughters are a credit to you. What were the most important things you instilled in their journey to becoming young, independent women? We'll link it to the book, like Lady Mary.
Like Lady Mary. Well, enough.
And in fact, you probably were in some way inspired by them as strong, independent women, weren't you?
I mean, look at them.
Yeah.
My girls are, they're extraordinary.
Yes, they are.
They are extraordinary. I mean, Beatrice is a strategist. I mean, imagine, I'm not a strategist. She is.
Yeah.
A dyslexic strategist. I mean, she's brilliant, and she's fighting for people with dyslexia, and she's going to write a book about it.
Amazing.
And she holds down a full-time job, and she's a mother and a stepmother, and in service, and upholding the values of her grandmother. I mean, that's Beatrice.
Yeah.
Eugenie is studied history of art, and now is a director of Hauser and Wirth. I mean, they're both extraordinary, and having another baby on the way. So, quite frankly, they're both in service. They're both a perfect example of humility and kindness. And one thing I've done well is be a good mother. But I think it's because I didn't have a proper mother. So I brought my girls up to understand that I was very present as a mother.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting.
Yes, so it's a silver lining to you've been able to be the best mother. There's a very good question here from Shirley, who says, if you could pick a period of history to live in, who and where would you like to be? That's a good one, isn't it?
Isn't it
I have
great?
no idea what you're going to say at all. It could be anything.
Really?
Yeah, you've got that look.
No, I suddenly went to Cleopatra, and then I thought snakes.
No, I could see it happening.
Did you? And then I went, no, snakes. No, I don't want the asp. No, can't have that. No. So, no. Okay, coming back. I think it would be Queen Victoria. It would be Queen Victoria,
Yes.
wouldn't it? I would be with Queen Victoria, right?
With her, but not her.
Not her, no. Because she'd be so sad. She lost Albert, and that'd be sad.
That's true.
No, I don't want to be sad. No, I don't want to be that.
No.
41. And
I know, that's true.
Too young.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and they were so in love.
Yeah.
She made Balmoral for him.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't go back to Germany. No, I can't go there. No, it's too sad. No, my endings have to be full of love.
Yes. Okay.
But thank you for the question.
Then we've got Jane saying, my mother, age 98, is with me for the event. We'll be reading your book. My brother is Peter H. Reynolds, and you've read his books online, The Dot and Ish. There is a new musical in New York City called ...
That's fantastic. I have.
I know Dot.
Yeah,
yes,
Dot.
Yes.
I love Dot.
Dot's great. If it's the one I'm thinking of, I read it to my daughter.
Yeah, of course did. Yeah. Yes. Oh, I love. Well done. Well done. I love that. How amazing they're watching.
There you go.
Isn't that incredible?
So we've got people from all over the world.
That really is. They are brilliant books.
Yeah.
I even know where he lives, I think. That's incredible.
We've got, yes, all sorts of people from all over the place. Susan's asking, will you be coming to Canada soon?
Yes, I will be coming, Susan. I'm coming to Canada very soon. Somebody's just said they want to go and...
Do so. I bet you're a big hit in Canada, aren't you?
Well, Anna Green Gables, you know, we
yes,
yeah,
it's true.
Yeah,
There is that.
Prince Edward Island.
Yeah.
Of course, I was the Yellowstone and Yellowknife, and I canoed down the Hanbury Thalon River up in the north.
Gosh.
And on my honeymoon.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only time they didn't have white water, so we had to carry the canoe. Typical.
No.
Typical.
That's not very romantic.
But I do love everything about Canada.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. With
and there's tartan-shirted men there.
Which is always a plus.
For my hallmark. Yeah.
David says, what can we learn today from the past? Which is very good question again.
Very good question,
yeah.
Isn't it? I think that ask David if he ever saw The Shawshank Redemption when Morgan Freeman says that he wanted to go back to the boy and change the course of history.
Yeah.
And of course that's, I think that we can all learn from the brilliance of history.
Yeah.
And Prince Albert, what he did for Britain, and he bought us the lavatories that we all take for granted.
Yes.
And, imagine what the sewage was like in 1860.
Gosh, I'd rather not.
Exactly, yeah. And 1850. And the great exhibition and Victor V&A and the Science Museum and Imperial College and everything else
Incredible
he created.
things.
Yes, yes. So learning from history, learn to respect and not be complacent with what we have.
And I remember when we spoke before, and you were saying that you were always a storyteller as a child. But SV has asked, were your mum and dad big storytellers when you were young? Do you remember them telling you lots of stories?
No.
No.
No. Dad said that I was made up stories and that I was ridiculous, and it's entirely in my imagination, and I shouldn't be making up stories.
Well, he wouldn't think that now, would he?
Well, no, he would not. And then Mum was the ultimate living the storytelling.
Yes, yes.
So she lived every moment. She rode side saddle and utterly beautiful, very handsome woman, and so she actually lived it.
Wow.
It's incredible, really.
Yeah.
So I watched her live the stories of an amazing life.
So do you think she infected you with a kind of romance bug?
I think I'm Irish and Scottish and Celtic.
So
yeah,
it was really bound to happen.
Just bound to happen, yeah. And I think that also she took me to Powerscourt in Southern Ireland, which is where Lady Margaret goes. And of course she told me stories of when she was locked in the Pepperpot Tower and by her brother, who was grim, and she had to put the basket down, and the lady who cooked, Lily, came and put food in the basket, and she drew it up.
Oh, gosh.
And that sounded a little bit of a story for me. So
yeah,
I have included Pepperpot Tower in my head.
There you go.
And Neptune and all that. Yeah.
What else? We've got some more great questions here.
Yeah, very nice questions. Everyone's being very...
They are being very nice.
Yes, I like that we've got a Michael. And a Matt.
Someone from London's asked what your favourite champagne is. I'm not quite sure. But
that's good if you... Yeah, well, it is. I do like to have rosé champagne.
Do you?
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah, not a lot.
No. It's quite drying, isn't it, champagne?
Yes, it is.
I find.
Yes. Oh, it can be, can't it?
Yes. You have to be cautious at events.
Yes, especially with smoked salmon.
What's your favourite time of year, Sandra is asking?
I thought you were going to call me Sandra.
No.
My favourite time of year is in March, it symbolises spring.
Yeah.
And my daughter's birthday. In October, it symbolises my birthday. Mm-hmm. In the December, it's Christmas carols and snow.
Yeah.
And so those are my three best times of life in the year, and I'm not choosing between the three. You get three. You can't choose one.
Why does it always have to be one anyway?
Exactly. I'm Libra. Libra doesn't make decisions.
No.
No choices.
Celia from London has asked if you where this came from, but has asked if you were going to create the perfect man.
Oh, fun game.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you were going to describe him in a book, who would he be? What would he sound like? Do you see what I'm doing here?
Celia from London, I would say, okay, right. He's got to be 6'4", and so that when
you have a thing about tall men.
I do, yes, I do. And so when he hugs you, you go into the nook of his shoulder.
See, that never happens to me.
No. How tall's Piers?
He's, I don't know, but I'm nearly 6 foot, so it says you have to have a very tall.
Oh yes, yeah. Okay, well,
but anyway,
you know, okay,
it's fine.
Well, he can grow.
Yeah.
So I think tall. I think that he's got to have very clean shoes. Please, can he have clean shoes?
Gosh.
Yeah, because it shows that he's taking care of himself.
That's true. Why do a lot of men have dirty shoes?
Yes,
I suppose
they do. Well, take a look next time.
Well, you know why? It's because hasn't Quick stopped. So there you go.
Well, it doesn't have to be. They could get a suede brush and get suede shoes. But then, and also, he's got to smell nice. He's got to smell nice.
Yes.
You've got to have a good aftershave.
Well, now you're harking back. Well, no wonder you're writing kind of vintage.
I'm just say Cary Grant.
Cary Grant, definitely.
Sean Connery.
Yes.
I think Sean Connery wins top.
In a tartan shirt.
Oh, please.
And then...
No, he'd have to have a tartan kilt because he's got...
Oh, that's
true.
true.
But Sean Connery, numero uno.
Really?
Yeah.
Up there.
Yeah. But no one probably remembers Sean Connery, do they?
Of course they remember Sean
They do.
Connery.
He's just a legend.
Yes.
Cary Grant, Sean Connery, fantastic.
Tristan says...
that's a good name. I'm having Tristan for the next book.
Well, yes, Tristan's a good name. Do you have any plans for Budgie the Little Helicopter again? I'm a huge fan of yours, Sarah, and I hope to see more of you in the public eye soon.
Great, Tristan.
She's in the public eye right now.
Can you sing Budgie Little Helicopter? na. He is brave. Okay, fine. So I'm not going to win a Grammy. No. I can do everything else. But anyway. So, Tristan, A, I like your name. Great name for my next book.
Yes.
But B, Budgie, the helicopter's flying again now.
Oh.
Yes, he is. And he's flying. And Matt is in the control tower and he's in a wheelchair. And Penny is blind, but they both have dronauts. And Budgie and the Dronauts, it's called.
So this is a new...
children's book.
Really?
I'm writing now, yes.
When do you have time to do all these things?
Oh,
So you're
fun,
doing that?
eh?
You're doing another... you're doing another Mills and Boon?
Yes, I am. She's called Lenny.
Gosh.
Lenny.
I like that.
Don't you like that?
How do you spell that?
Leonie.
Oh, Lynn. Oh, right.
Yes, but Lenny.
So
you don't say...
So Budgie's coming back.
Budgie's coming back.
That's good.
And Budgie's flying again. Budgie did also... Budgie and the Koala was 2 years ago. So
yes.
Budgie and the Dronauts is next. And the Turtle Rescue. That's the one with Serenity Press. You can buy that one now. Through Serenity Press in Perth, by the way.
And Budgie was big in America too, wasn't he, or not?
#1 in America, yeah. In 1989, 1990. I've been around a lot.
And we were talking just before about America and how you are essentially American. And of course they love these kinds of books, don't they? Especially because it brings them back to that sort of Bridgerton, Downton Abbey, all of that stuff. And we were just laughing the other day in the office because there was a piece about how Americans think that we're incredibly intelligent because of the way we speak, and apparently this has been proven to be the case.
I must be very bright.
Do you find that when you were giving all these interviews last week on every TV channel, and you can see them looking at you with real awe. They do love you out there, don't they?
Well, it's because I love them and I'm very grateful to them. I don't, with them you have to be sincere.
Yes.
Otherwise they'll see through you.
Which is funny because that whole thing people say about, I'm in California, and they don't mean it, do they? They don't mean have a nice day. I think they probably do, actually.
I think they do.
Yeah.
And I love to, when I get off an aeroplane from here to in America, I literally, it's like coming home. And it takes me a day to get used to, I'm back here again. I can be myself again. Here, I go back into my reserve tanks.
Yes.
Because I'm frightened. I do get into fear a lot.
Yeah.
I don't want to be hurt again.
Well, I think a shrink would point out the fairly obvious reason for that. But what could it be? Now we'll take one more from here. That is, oh yes. So your daughters, Beatrice and Eugenia, when they read, do they proofread your books for you?
No,
this is from Anna.
Anna, yeah. Hello Anna. No, Anna, they don't proofread my books, but they do love to read them. They really do, and I think that I don't think they can quite believe me.
So they never say. So do you give it to them? You don't give it to them pre-publication?
No, I don't. But the last Lady Margaret, Beatrice did say to me, "Mum, you had me invested into Randolph, and then what happened? Yes. You changed it." And I went, "Yeah, I know, because I knew, not you, but I knew the reader was getting too settled that she was off with Randolph." Oh no, no. Oh, well, anyone who hasn't read Her Heart for a Compass, you better read it. However, yeah, so I like to curveball it.
Yeah.
Just at the last minute, just when everything's going smoothly, I just go, no, Marguerite, I'm terribly sorry. I've got to change it up.
Yes. And I always think it's a testament to how good it is if somebody is so involved in a plot that they get quite annoyed. And sometimes, I've occasionally, someone has said to me, I don't know, but I know that because she wouldn't have done that or something. Yes. And you think, but they're all made up.
That's so funny when they really do, don't they?
No, because people do get very invested, which is the ultimate compliment, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
And talk to me about what can you tell us about the next one then, the next Mills and Boon?
Well, she's. Thank you for asking. Because I
don't know how much you can...
We sent it off today, actually.
Oh gosh! So you're all
well,
done.
No. The initial, the invitation to the ball.
Right. Oh, I see.
No, we haven't organised the ball yet.
No.
But she's definitely a widower in her 40s, middle-aged, and she's going on her journey.
Are you making this up, or is this true?
No, this is.
She is a widower in her 40s.
Yes.
Oh, so you're.
Yeah, and she's going off on a journey of exploration.
And what?
And she's been very, very curtailed in her life, and her husband died, and suddenly, what was she to do? He'd done everything for her, and she didn't know where to start, and off she goes on this journey.
Wow.
I know. And travelling journey.
You said you're lifting an eyebrow like it's time travelling or something. It's not time travelling. But I can't say. But it's.
Who knows? All I know is that the person that she runs into in wherever she's going in France, he is incredibly good looking on the bridge when she meets him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to read it.
On a rainy night.
You're clearly having a great time. That's the main thing.
I can't wait to do it. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Well, it's like having your own box set, but just at your fingertips whenever.
Precisely. Yeah.
And if you don't like the ending, you can change it.
No. And I did do a voice note the other day, and I went, and then I even put the whisper on. I really went into part. Marguerite was going, okay.
You don't have to do that, which brings us back to you definitely becoming an actress. But not too soon, please, because we're really looking forward to the next one.
Yes, thank you. You'll really like it.
I can't wait to read it. And Duchess, thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight. And thank you to the subscribers for all those wonderful questions. Do keep an eye out for the Telegraph Extra website for more subscriber-exclusive offers, events and competitions. And the second, more book club events will be coming. We've got Cecilia Ahern on the 12th of April and a panel event for Lucy Easthope's When the Dust Settles on the 26th of April. Have a good evening.
Can we have you? And I can interview you.
Absolutely, I would love that.
I love that.
I would love
your
that.
latest book.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to everybody. No, it's great. You've done so well. I'm going to say nice things about you. I'll study.
You really don't need to study. No,
I know.